Okay, I want you to think about what £20,000 can buy you in 2026. A Volkswagen Polo perhaps, or a Ford Puma ST, and if you're lucky, a Skoda Octavia. Or you could buy this. Oh, that's a sound. This is the Aston Martin DB9, fully clothed in aluminium, shaped by one of the most talented design teams in automotive history, powered by a V12 engine, and it costs right now roughly the same as a family hatchback. I shouldn't be saying those words, but I am. When this car was new, it cost over £100,000. Celebrities bought them, and James Bond made everyone want one. So today I'm going to see whether you actually should buy one.
Back in the late 90s, Aston Martin was owned by Ford. Yes, Ford, the same company that made the Transit van and the Fiesta, or did. They bought Aston Martin in 1987, and to their credit, they actually invested in it properly. They gave Aston Martin engineers and some money. And by the early 2000s, their DB7 wasn't exactly going as well as they hoped. So they developed what they called the VH platform. VH stands for Vertical Horizontal, and it refers to the bonded aluminium architecture that was, at the time, generally cutting edge. Lightweight, stiff, and designed to be modular enough to underpin multiple Aston Martin models. The DB9 was the first car built on it, but the Vantage and DBS followed.
The DB9 launched at the Paris Motor Show in 2003, and all the accountants and Wentworth Golf members were absolutely thrilled once they saw it. And after the release of Casino Royale in 2006, everyone with the slightest amount of grey hair wanted an Aston Martin as well. The brand was everywhere: tailored suits, expensive watches. The DB9 completely looked the part. It was produced from 2004 all the way through to 2016, a remarkable 12-year run that just shows how much the design has aged.
On the topic of design, the DB9 was styled by Henrik Fisker, who you might know from the Fisker Karma electric car, and Ian Callum, who went on to run Jaguar's design department and gave us the F-Type. Between the two of them, they created something that I genuinely believe belongs in a very short list of the most beautiful cars ever made. From the front, it's all purpose and confidence. The mesh grille is large and elegant. The headlights are long and narrow, giving the nose an almost predatory look. But it's the side profile where it really sings. That long sweeping bonnet. There's nothing fussy about it. Every single surface looks exactly where it should be.
And what's crazy to me about the design is it's from 2003, and that's more than 20 years old. And even in 2026, it still turns heads. And it's crazy to me that a 20-year-old car like this still looks better than that new Ferrari piece of shit. Honestly, who the hell designed this thing? It's such a piece of shit.
Is that a new Ferrari?
It is, unfortunately.
Well, we've had a very good month on car culture, and I was thinking of actually buying one.
Get out.
Oh, look at it, it's a Ferrari.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean it's good. What you should do is just buy an old Aston Martin like I've done.
Yeah, but that could have lots of issues. I mean, think about it. They're like, what, 20-something years old?
Ah, well, you haven't heard of vehicle school.
No, I definitely haven't.
Well, no, you haven't. That's what I'm going to tell you about it. This is an advert, yes. Well, you put in your registration, and it will tell you things like dealership service history, any insurance write-off, any stolen record, and any damage as well.
Wow, this all sounds very useful.
It is very useful.
If only they had an AI as well to go along with that.
Well, funny enough, Harry, they actually do have an AI system.
Amazing. who would have seen that coming?
But we also got a code for the viewer, which is Car Culture 30, 30% off.
I'll be using that later as well.
Right, I think I'm going to go back to filming my Aston Martin.
Yeah, and I should probably film you doing it.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Oh wait, who's filming this? There is one big thing that hits you once you step in the interior, and that is leather. Lots of it. Aston Martin offered an endless array of interior specifications for the DB9. You could get different leather grades, different stitching colours, aluminium or wood trim. The combinations were generally vast. Which does mean every DB9 you look at does feel slightly different inside and slightly more personal. But I do like the interior of this particular DB9. It's kind of finished in this sort of wine-coloured leather, and you've also got this nice wood trim around it as well. And in terms of standard features, it is quite well equipped, but you do also have this Volvo entertainment system which does pop up, and it is quite dated, I have to say. You do also have your usual sort of thing like sat-nav and radio here, and you've got this very nice Aston Martin clock along with your climate control down here as well. It's all very nicely laid out in my opinion, and it's very sort of easy to use, and all the buttons are very clicky and nice. In terms of storage in the car, as you can imagine, it is quite limited. You do have sort of storage down here in the door well. There isn't any storage here in the middle as far as I can see, but you do have a glove box for a little bit of storage there. Moving on to the rear seats, they are there, but they're not really big enough to sort of fit an average size human, and they're kind of only there to put your dinner jacket really. And one thing I do love is the engine, specifically the nameplate underneath the bonnet. Every DB9 was hand built by a single engineer, and their name plaque is basically down here as well. And this one, as you can see, was built by Martin. How ironic. I wonder if Aston built the gearbox. God, it's glorious sound, that is. Under that incredibly long bonnet sits a naturally aspirated 6-litre V12. It is technically a 5.9 litre, but obviously rounding it up sounds much better. But what this does make me feel is rather sad, because the V12 is a dying breed. The earlier cars produced 450 horsepower like this one, but when the car was revised in 2013 they upped the power to 510. But to be honest, it didn't really make too much of a difference because they both went to 185 miles an hour. The gearbox is the ZF Automatic, which is a highly regarded unit and generally pretty reliable. But one thing I do find very odd in this car is the gear selector. They are just buttons here on the dashboard, which makes it kind of very strange, and you have to put it into neutral and then into park, so you've got to press like 3 buttons. I would have definitely preferred just a gear selector down here, but I suppose the old men driving it would have probably struggled to get it in gear. The DB9 was always considered a grand tourer, a car that's designed to drive long distances in comfort and style whilst also being very fast. And that is something that I can tell does very well at. It is very comfortable in here, and it is very smooth as well. The only thing that does let it down a bit is the ride quality. It is slightly bouncy, but it is quite stiff overall. Once you're up to speed though, it is perfectly fine. It's just in town it does feel a bit too stiff. A bit like me now driving it. I am very stiff driving this. Look at that, around the bend and accelerate out. And that's another thing, this car does handle really well considering its size and weight. It feels incredibly well balanced overall. And I think because the engine's mounted so far back, it just makes the whole experience a lot nicer. And that leads me nicely onto the steering, which of course is hydraulic. It's got a very nice weight to it overall, and it does actually weigh up a little bit more once you put it in sport mode. But you can really feel where the chassis is sort of turning in and going to in the corners. It's lovely. And even though it is an automatic car, it does feel very engaging to drive, especially with that noise. It never gets old. Now, I have briefly mentioned the sport mode, and obviously it does make a little bit of a difference. It's not too drastic. The first thing you notice is the sharper throttle response, and that is very nice and makes the car feel very eager. It also holds the revs a lot longer, so you get to hear more of that V12 engine. Can't really complain with that. And overall, the car just feels noticeably more alert. It's not too drastic, but it is like putting a bit of cocaine in your morning coffee. One thing I also forgot to mention is you can actually change gear with these flappy paddles here as well, so it does make it more engaging to drive. I'll just put it down into second gear like that. There we are. But if I take it out of sport mode and just slow right down, it is actually quite relaxing. As I've already mentioned, it is a very comfortable car, and it is actually quite a nice place to be too. But if you are driving this car around town, it is slightly difficult. Mainly due to how big it is, but also the visibility isn't great really. It is quite low down, and the big pillars either side does make it quite difficult. And on top of that, with the gearbox being a bit tedious, it does make it a bit more tricky to park as well. Tunnel, I found a tunnel. Oh yes,
Driving the DB9, you wouldn't think it's a £20,000 car. It feels very refined, even for its age. It's not quite as sharp as the Vantage, but it was never meant to be in the first place. But that V12 is something to die for.
But the question on everyone's mind is, why can you buy a V12 Aston Martin for £20,000 today? Depreciation on exotic cars is brutal, and it always has been. When a car is new, you're paying a premium for the novelty. When the car ages, the premium evaporates. The warranty expires and the service costs become more expensive. And newer, faster, shinier things appear, and who doesn't want the new shiny thing? It's like when you were back at school fighting over who had the best BlackBerry model.
The DB9 had a particularly steep depreciation curve because it was built over a very long time. 12 years, meaning there was a lot of them out there. Supply isn't scarce, and while it was always prestigious, it was never a limited edition halo car. It was Aston's volume seller, if you can call anything at this price volume. It's also worth noting what's happened to the rest of the Aston Martin used market around it. The V8 Vantage and the older DB7 used to be the cheaper entry points into the Aston world, but both of those have quietly become a bit more desirable. The Vantage especially has developed a proper following, so they've held their values slightly better.
Running costs are another big thing as well. I don't really need to go into detail, but as you can imagine, everything costs an arm and a leg, especially the liquid that goes into this. But to be honest, none of that really matters because this car is superb. Do I love it? Yes. Do I want to buy one? Yes. Can I afford it? No. But what I can do is enjoy it while I have it, and that's more than I could ever ask.
So, the Aston Martin DB9. It's not perfect, the ride can be firm, the rear seats are decorative, it will drink your fuel budget dry, and it needs looking after properly. All sounds bad, right? But once you drive it, then it all makes sense. It's like a very draining relationship, except the outcome is actually worth it completely. But if you go in with eyes open, if you do your homework, buy the right example, and approach it as a GT car like it was designed to be, what you get is an extraordinary thing. A hand-built, naturally aspirated V12 Grand Tourer with one of the greatest designs in automotive history. You also get hydraulic steering that generally talks to you, and an exhaust note that makes every journey feel like an event.
So there we have it, that is the Aston Martin DB9. Thanks very much to RNG Classics for providing the vehicle to us, and make sure you remember to subscribe to our membership, and we'll see you in the next video.